Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode here at Hack Your Finances. Man, I'm super pumped for today's episode because we are gearing up for end of year where Christmas time is quickly approaching. We've got end of year giving. And so I thought it would be super valuable and important to talk about really how to gear up for generosity as we hit the end of the year. And so today, I really just want to be able to unpack and unwind really 5 hacks around generosity to help you get prepared for the this end of the year. You know, one of the things that I found is that in our journey, I think, more often than not, we love the thought of being generous. I think we love Christmas time because it's one of the built-in functions in our life that really encourages us to embrace generosity. We get the opportunity to buy gifts for friends, for family. It's just the time of kindness and just generosity. And I think you feel it in the air. And what I found is that we love being generous, but in all of my journey of working with people in their finances and even in my own life, I found that generosity and really gift giving, it never happens on accident. It happens on purpose and for a purpose. And so I really just want to be able to break down, like I said, 5 financial hacks, 5 things that I think you can apply going into November and into December to help you gear up to be a generous person. I think of the scripture verse, we talk about it sometimes during giving moments where we go, God loves a cheerful giver. And while I absolutely agree this applies, in a church setting, what I found is this is actually just a principle in our lives is that there is a layer of joyful giving, of being cheerful in our generosity. But I found that the only way that we can really be able to embrace that is through our ability to plan and prepare ahead of time. And so that's my first hack for you. As you get ready for Christmas time, as you think about getting gifts for friends or family, I think one of the first things that we can start doing is we can start the process of planning ahead and having a budget. And so, for anybody who's listening or watching, if you do not have a budget in place, if you do not have this practice in your life, I want to encourage you. This end of the year time is so important to be able to plan and to be able to budget and know what you're going to spend on gifts, what you're going to spend, going into the end of the year. Because I found that a lot of times what happens is people go, oh man, it's almost Christmas time. Black Friday's here. We have all these gifts to buy, for the kids and then the cousins and then the friends and then the office party that has the white elephant gift. And next thing we know, we're 2, 3, 4 grand upside down on the month. And we're going, man, how are we going to pay for this? And when we look at the stats around the average American living paycheck to paycheck, there's only one place for that over expense to go. And more often than not, it's people putting it on a credit card. And so what they spend in 1 month, they then find for the next 3 months, January, February, March, April, they're digging out of this hole that they've dug of what they're spending during Christmas time. And so I think one of the first things to do is to plan. And I think one of the most practical ways you can do that is begin to write down a list and write down the list of people that you want to give gifts to. And so my wife and I, this is one of the things that we always look at. And as we talk with our family, we talk about what the plans are for Christmas time. We first start and we go, man, who are we buying gifts for? What does this look like for our family? And so, obviously we're like, I'm Rachel, buying her a gift. And we got our kids. And then we're connected with our family. We got the nephews and the cousins and all that kind of stuff. And then we start to broaden our perspective and we go, man, what are some of the other things that we know we want to be generous towards as we wrap up the end of the year? And so our church and different organizations, it's the Toys for Tots, it's, Stuff the Truck where we're buying toys for families in need and all that kind of stuff. And so we're going, hey, we know we want to dedicate some gifts and some money here. And so I think that's one of just the powerful practical tips that you can apply right now as you get ready to go into the end of the year is to have a budget and really just begin to plan and know who you're going to buy gifts for, how much you're planning on spending, because I know that it's so easy as you start shopping, more and more things end into the cart, and you're like, man, it's crazy how fast $500 in gifts can happen when you're walking around different stores. And so when you have that budget in place, I think it's one of the ways you can really be able to be generous and do it joyfully. That instead of at the checkout counter and you're buying these gifts, instead of it being painful, it can actually be a place of joy and a place of pleasure because you've planned and you go, man, we knew this is where we were spending money versus the alternative where you're checking out and you're like, oh man, this is painful. I don't know how we're going to pay for this. I don't know what this is going to look like. And so really budgeting and planning ahead, such a powerful and fun way to be able to embrace a life of giving and a life of generosity as we come up to the end of this year. The second financial hack when it comes to gift giving and gearing up for generosity at the end of this year is to really focus on purchasing and looking for meaningful gifts. You know, one of the things I found, and I'll share for me personally, I am not naturally, talented when it comes to thinking about gifts, when it comes to gift ideas. My brain, some people, that's their love language. That's the way they think about it. I've got friends that they get jacked about the thought of like, man, what's the gift that's going to mean so much to, so-and-so, to all these scenarios. And what I found is I am not naturally wired that way. It is absolutely a point of stress for me when I think about gifts. But what I found is for my personality type, because I struggle with gift giving, I naturally default of instead of being thoughtful or meaningful, I just target expensive. Where I go, man, maybe it's not the most thoughtful, but at least if it's worth money, it tells them that I care. But what I found is in this season of giving, man, there's something so fun that when you slow down and go, instead of just focusing on what's the most expensive thing to give to somebody, what's the most expensive toy that we think the kid's going to love, but if we find out they just love the box that the toy was in, and when we think about what's going to be meaningful for people, we begin to find that we are able to use our finances more effectively when it comes to generosity. And so, I think that there's some families out there that as you think about gift giving and going into this Christmas time, I think that there's some things that you could put into place that you go, man, how do we make this more meaningful? And so I think some just general ideas that you could do, like if money's really tight in your family, one of the things that I love the idea of is going, man, what are things that we could make, like putting rules behind some of the gifts that you do in your family or with your friend groups or whatever that looks like, where you go, man, it's not about spending, hundreds of dollars on gifts, but going, how can we get creative and how can we do something that's meaningful? Because as much as my wife, loves, maybe an expensive gift, I know the thing that means the most to her is when she knows that I've been thoughtful, when I've been caring about the thing that I'm getting, and that it's actually a gift that actually means something to her and not just a dollar sign, of something I bought on sale. And so I think creative, creating gifts for each other is such a fun and great idea. Another thing that we've done just to get creative with our gift giving is so for birthdays or even for Christmas times when we have nephews, is we actually sometimes just do a lot of re-gift giving when it comes to toys. We've got a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and, toys get recycled and cycled through all the times. And so frequently we're like, hey, don't give them new toys. We'll just take a hand-me-down toy of, what our cousins previously played with, just because we know that it's the joy of a new toy that they'll play with for a season, and it'll quickly go into the toy bin to never be played again until we regift it, back to somebody else or give it to somebody. And so these are just some of the fun ways that you can think in creative ways that you can think about end of year giving that might be a little bit easier on your pocketbook. And the third thing that I'd kind of flag on this point when it comes to being meaningful is just that, is to slow down and go, man, what's going to actually mean something to, the person that I'm trying to bless, the person that I'm trying to give to. And so, a great example of this for us this year is, as a family, we frequently, work through man, what is Christmas going to look like? Who are we with this year and all of that. And, we're luckily in a situation where a lot of times, we're like, hey, what does everybody want? What does everybody need for Christmas? And luckily we're in a place where more often than not, we're like, hey, we don't really need anything. And we don't really want much because if we want it, we usually plan it in the budget. And so we have a lot of those things. And so we started asking the question hey, what would mean a lot to everybody? And the common theme was hey, how can we get together as a family? How can we just spend time and celebrate, the birth of our Savior, celebrate Christmas together? And what could that look like? And so we decided this year we were going to, hey, let's all come together. We've got everybody spread across the U.S., Florida, Virginia, all that kind of stuff. And we go, man, how can we all come together and celebrate? And so it's really about the experience. It's about coming together and celebrating and laughter, and far less about, the gifts or the presents to be opened, but the experiences to be had as a family. And so these are just a couple just really practical things that I think you can do when you think about end of year gift giving, when you think about end of year generosity, is that it doesn't always have to be this stressful, money crunching experience, but can be something that's super fun and super joyful. Our third financial hack when it comes to gearing up for generosity is shop the deals. I'll say this probably doesn't sound like a surprising hack for some, but But man, as you gear up to purchase gifts, man, I love the idea of shopping deals, seeing who's, Cyber Sunday, all that, Cyber Monday, all of the deals, figuring out who's got the cheapest items. I'm all for it. And I think it's one of the ways to really be able to double down on generosity. And I think especially one of the things we'll talk about here in just a little bit, but for us, we love Black Friday as a time to be able to maximize the gifts that we're going to get to bless other people. And so we're able to see what toys, like what's on sale, where can we get the best bang for our buck? And that starts with, being able to do some of your research and looking at what are those big ticket items that you can potentially save, 10, 20, 30% on because they're running an end of year sale. And it's just being proactive. It's being thoughtful about where you're shopping, when you're shopping, and knowing if hey, should we just wait to see if this goes on sale? Because I think it's a super easy way that you can proactively, save some money, but proactively, be able to maximize your generosity for the end of the year. But one of the things I always like to flag when it comes to shopping the deals, and you'll even hear it in my language, you go, man, you could save a lot of money by buying it, during this time. And I think it's so important to flag is like the buyer beware, that just because something is cheaper, you are not fundamentally saving money. If you're still purchasing something, you're still seeing your money go down. And so the premise is you're still spending. You might just be spending less, but you're still spending. And it's super easy to get caught up in this trap of man, this item's on sale. And so by buying it now, we're going to save $200. And a lot of times, a really quick hitting tip for you is if you feel like you get caught up in that trap a lot, the question I ask myself is would we have purchased this even if it wasn't on sale? And if the answer is yes, you can go hey, this is a great opportunity to have a reduced cost because we're buying it at the prime time when there's a sale, there's a coupon, etc. What I find is dangerous is when we start purchasing items that we would have never bought in the first place, but because it has, the 50% off sticker on it, we go, oh, this is such a great deal. I'm saving so much money. I got to buy this thing. And I got this TV for 50% off and it was, $1,000 and it was originally $2,000. And we look at that and we could go, oh, I just saved $1,000. And you go, actually, no, you spent $1,000 on a TV that you maybe didn't need or need to replace, but you just happened to buy it because it had the 50% off sticker. And so buyer beware, don't get caught up in the dangers of saving money by spending money. And this brings us to our fourth tip when it comes to gearing up for generosity for the end of the year. And man, this is one of my favorite ones. I also think it's sometimes one of the most overlooked. And it's really being thoughtful and strategic about end of year generosity when it comes to ways that you can impact your community, the way you can donate to nonprofits, to your local church, and really being thoughtful about your end of year giving and end of year generosity. And what I found is, this is one of those prime times where a lot of nonprofits are looking for that final push towards the end of the year. And I think it's super fun to be able to be super thoughtful and strategic about your end of year giving and generosity, specifically to nonprofits, to your local church, or even just those mechanisms to be able to bless families, whether it's going into Thanksgiving and people that don't have, Thanksgiving meals, it's presents for kids. There's so many opportunities, especially going to the end of the year, coat drives, and ways to be able to help people that are, potentially in a less fortunate situation than us. And I think it's so powerful and fun that when we create space in our life and our budget to be able to give to these things and to be able to prioritize them and to be strategic about it. And so I just encourage you, if you're listening and you go, man, that sounds great. Man, just begin to be proactive and be thoughtful about, man, what are the things that you could be looking to be extra generous towards? Because I'll tell you, this is the time of year, it's cold out, there's coats, and I think it's so powerful and important, especially for believers, that are listening to this, that it's kind of one of our prime opportunities to rise up and be a shining beacon of generosity, a shining beacon of hope. One of the things that a powerful principle I heard one time was that generosity opens the door. And so I think a lot of times we go, man, I wish I could reach more people. I wish I could have a bigger impact. And sometimes I go, man, have you started with generosity? Man, whether it's your coworker, it's somebody in need, man, generosity opens the door to conversation. It opens the door to impact. It opens the door to love. And so I just think, man, being able to create space, prepare for it. And not only that, but I think especially when it comes to financial donations for the end of the year, for business owners, for big givers, people that are doing itemized deductions. This is a prime opportunity to run your numbers and crunch the math and go, man, how can we double down on our giving and the tax liability that we have, and reducing that because of our generosity this year. And so this is something my wife and I, we frequently look at, and we're looking at, man, what does our generosity look like this year, setting it up against our goals, because we always have giving goals that we have within our church and external things, and going, man, have we embraced the identity and the people that we want to be when it comes to generosity, when it comes to giving to our local church, when it comes to sponsoring missionaries that are overseas, and being able to play our part in these different aspects. And as we get into the end of the year, it's just another one of those checkpoints where we go, man, have we been faithful to the thing that we wanted to do? Have we been faithful to the end of the year, the vision builders, all the things that we've put in our heart that we believe is from God? And for us to be faithful and go, man, I've written the check, I've done the deposit, I've completed the goal that I've set, and potentially the goal that God set for us. And so I think that's super, super powerful and important. But the cascading component to that is being able to understand the taxable implications. And so, I encourage you, if you haven't done any research, we'll probably end up doing a whole podcast on this at some point. But man, there's so much fun when it comes to seeing your tax liability go down, because you just live a life of generosity. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for paying the tax man what he's owed. Give Caesar what is owed to Caesar. So big fan of that. But I'm also a really big fan of being able to donate and send money and deploy it in ways that I think are just as important, or actually I would say is more important, which for us is building a local church, missionaries, and different nonprofits, and helping people. And so reducing that tax liability and coming in at the end of the year, giving is such a fun and powerful aspect of that. And so our fifth and financial hack when it comes to gearing up for generosity is to really watch out for the pressure to overspend. As we get into this end of the year time, we've already talked about all these different avenues of gifts for family, friends, coworkers, opportunities to be generous with nonprofits, churches. We have all of these things that are vying for our attention. We got people ringing bells at doors. And there's all these avenues where we feel pressure. And I just want to encourage you, that you would avoid the trap of just feeling the pressure to overspend and accepting that as that's what you have to do. And so I'm super proud of anybody. And I'd encourage you, if you feel like, man, money's really tight, and you either have the option to be generous and make poor financial decisions and to get into bad debt and live life on $5,000 on a credit card for the month of December, or option two, just be brutally honest with your friends and with your family, and just be able to share hey, Christmas is going to look a little different for us. For where we're at as a family, where things are at for us in this season, whether it's reduced hours at work, whether it's inflation's got us on the ropes, whatever that looks like. I think just being honest with people and being able to go, hey, gifts are probably going to look different. Instead of, a handful for all of the kids, we're probably just going to do one. And it might not be as big, but just know that we love you. We're getting creative with how we're thinking about this. And I think it's our ability to be honest, that actually disarms that pressure to overspend, that pressure to overcommit, to overextend. Because, I think for our family, for our friends, for the people that we love, and I'd probably just say this on the behalf of your family members, where I go, I love you too much for you to get into a whole bunch of debt just to get me some gifts or, some trinkets, some tchotchkes. I think I would my encouragement, my passion, and I would even say permission is for, if you're in that position and you're like, man, money's really tight as we look at the end of this year, we've ran the numbers, we know exactly how much we can spend, it's going to look different. My encouragement, that's okay. There's a lot of people that are feeling a lot of pressure right now when it comes to their finances. Grocery bills look different. A lot of things compared to last year look different in terms of the way that we spend them. And so with that, I think comes habit changes, behavior changes in the way that we spend our money. And we've been entrusted with our finances to steward them well. And I don't believe that the desire to give a gift or to lean into generosity is the reason why we should get into crippling debt. And far too often, I just hear too many stories about it. It was the Christmas, it was the vacation, it was the next thing that we got for somebody that led us into just a rough financial spot that took somebody 3, 6, and 12 months to dig out of. Because credit card rates are nuts. Credit card rates are palpable when you think about 28%, month over month, and you're seeing that just compound, making minimum payments. It's crazy how long those things can last, especially when money's tight on a normal month, let alone on Christmas. And so that's my encouragement to you, is don't fold under the pressure to be generous. Don't fold under the pressure to make poor financial decisions. And I think if you do the other hacks, they'll help pave the way for you not to do that. And so, man, I like I said in the beginning, I love this time of year. I love end of year giving. I love some of the goals that we've set for our financial contributions to nonprofits, to our church. I'm super pumped to, look at those and go, man, what does our end of year look like? I'm so excited to buy gifts for our kids, for our cousins, for family. I'm so pumped for all of these things. And my hope and my prayer is that you're equally excited and feel equally prepared, to prepare in advance, to set that budget, shop some deals, be proactive, be thoughtful about the gifts you're buying. Think about the nonprofits that you can bless and serve, and look for those ways to, not just submit to the pressure of overspending, but knowing exactly, hey, this is what we've set aside for a budget. This is what Christmas can look like. This is what giving can look like at the end of the year, and being faithful with it every step of the way. So I hope this has encouraged some of y'all. I hope it's given you some practical tips as you gear up for end of year giving and end of year generosity in your friends, your families, and love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, leave a review about the podcast, help share and get the word out, because this is for you. This is for your friends. This is for your family. And so I hope it challenges you and blesses you. Love you guys. We'll see you in the next episode. God bless.